All right, so as I mentioned, I'm Kristina Welch. I'm the current board president of the IMDSA Board of Directors. I have been volunteering with IMDSA for a lot of years, since 2008. I started volunteering at my first R&R. That was my first experience into IMDSA. And how I came to be with IMDSA is because I also have a daughter with mosaic Down syndrome. So you can see our history here. I'm not going to go through all of it, but the other night I was able to sit down and have dinner with Colleen, and I asked, "So Colleen, when did you join the organization?" Kind of stepped into that one because I had forgotten that without Colleen, IMDSA would not exist. Wow, I'm going to get emotional on how much and how important she is to this organization. So back in the 80s, mid 80s, she says, she started researching mosaicism. So you can just imagine, we barely have information today. Could you imagine 30 years ago? Nothing. Did I do the math right? 40 years, 30 years? Oh, math, 40.
Long time ago.
Holy cow. She was 5. So you can imagine there was really no information, and how she was really persistent, tenacious. You know, she was at the doorstep of all of our national Down syndrome organizations saying, I need families, I need individuals with mosaicism, because I want to better understand this and better understand what it means for an individual with that condition. So through that, she connected with some families, and very much like the parents in this room, they wanted what's best for their children, and they decided to put information out there on the web. So it started with a website back in '99. From there, a few years later, they developed a board of directors, and it became a nonprofit organization. And then in 2004, the very first R&R was held in Virginia Commonwealth University. And so we've come a long way since then. This is actually our 11th R&R, which is super exciting to know that we've been able to connect families over all those years and connect them with professionals. And so you see a gap in time, right? So it's not like we haven't been doing anything. We have been very busy during that time. And so one of the things, or the few of the things I want to highlight, is because of our work with our adults with mosaic Down syndrome, we realized that there was a great need for focus on mental health. We had, individuals experiencing anxiety and depression, and they were up against challenges that we couldn't really put into words. We recognize, I at least recognize in my own daughter, she knows she has a world in the typically developing population, as well as an individual with a disability. She understands that, and the mental health capacities or the impacts of that she recognizes. And so through our efforts with our adults, we recognized that we needed an effort on that. And so we were able to get Dr. Ruth Brown on board, and that was a great addition to being able to focus on that, and continues to do those studies. Every week we get emails. How do I get my child diagnosed? I suspect something's there. I just can't get that diagnosis. And so we have those resources available to give them that information. How do I get that diagnosis? And then we have people who, even though they've gone through the channels, they still can't find an answer for their child. And so we created the Mosaic Cryptic Study. And so it will help those individuals who otherwise would not have been able to find that diagnosis. So lots of good things going on. We continue to support our self-advocates and have them have a place to connect through the R&R and through online groups and meetups and such. So always busy. And then early last year, we were able to hire Brandy Heller as our executive director. We recognized that in order for this organization to continue, we needed somebody that was spending hours of their week on this organization. And it wasn't fair to put that on a volunteer. And so we stepped out and hired her. And so far we haven't bounced a check. So let's keep that up. So want to make sure that we continue to pay her. So this is our mission statement. You can read it. IMDSA is designed to support any family or individual whose life has been touched by mosaic Down syndrome by continuously pursuing research and increasing awareness in the medical, educational, and public communities throughout the world. So I like to think of IMDSA as a bridge. We're bridging families to one another. We're bridging families to professionals, to experts, because we recognize that we become the expert in our community. We become the expert to any professional we talk to, whether that's the medical community, education. We become the expert in our child's diagnosis. And we can't be experts if we don't have the information. So we want to make sure that it gets out there for you all to use. And then we also want to bridge our professionals to each other, and then have us be able to continue to pursue that research and use the information that we have out there for our professionals. So where are we going? This is our 2023 strategic plan. We recognize there's lots of words on this page, but each of our board meetings, we discuss the buckets here. So our agenda ensures that we are looking at each aspect of our mission statement so that we stay on course. We want to make sure that we're continuing to develop relationships with our families. And so, finding ways for them to connect. One of the things that we want to do, we do have our adult self-advocates, but we want to expand that to our teens. And so we're trying to investigate, how do we do that in a way that's safe for our teens, but also effective? How can we connect them so that they want to participate and they find others like them? Because we know that we're likely going, our kiddos are likely the only ones in our communities that may have that diagnosis. And it's really important to have peers that look similar so that they can share those experiences. Want to continue to spread awareness. Again, I feel like I talk about IMDSA a lot in my life and mosaic Down syndrome. And I'm sure you all have your elevator speech, right? You all have it rehearsed. What is mosaic Down syndrome? Because they just don't know. They might be able to understand Down syndrome, but that mosaicism, that first word throws people off, right? So we want to make sure that we're able to spread that awareness so that people at least have heard of it before. Then we have relationships with other Down syndrome organizations. You can see, NDSS is here, but we also have relationships with many other individuals who are doing this work so that we can continue together on the same road. We're doing the R&R right now, so check. We're able to get that done. We want to make sure that we're pursuing and connecting with those who have interest in mosaicism. And then we also want to determine our next passion, right? So I mentioned mental health, and we recognize it's been a little bit since we started that study. What's next for us? And so that's where families come in, your feedback. What do you want to know? Because it's our organization. You all drive what we do and what we focus on. So if you have something, please stop us. We have a couple of days. Email me. Whatever you want to talk about, be more than happy to consider what's important to you. And then funding. We always talk about money. Want to make sure we get Brandy paid. We have our website. I mean, we have expenses. And so just want, it's always a conversation as part of our board meetings. So how can you help me? You have a QR code here. So we're always looking for volunteers. So there's a QR code on the back of your badge as well. The volunteer form here will just allow you to put in information about who you are and what your interest may be. We currently have need on our board for a board vice president, as well as ad hoc members. I don't see them in here. Nick Mosley is our current treasurer, and Jennifer, I think she's still outside, Redemel is our secretary, our board secretary. So we do have needs for a vice president and for the ad hoc members. And those really are just individuals get to know the organization, who we are, how we run, how we operate. And we actually have 2 past board members. They have tags. We have Angie Satterfield in the back and Marissa over here. And they will attest that you can actually roll off the board. it's allowed. So yeah, right. Yes. And just like me, I rolled off the board, I rolled off my duties. And then as my kids got older, I found, oh, I have a little bit of time. What can I do? And was able to come back into the organization. And then of course, we're always asking for money. A couple of other positions, website reviewer. We really need some eyes on our current website. We just need people to take a look at it, update it. I feel like every time I go on there, I see something from a year that's not 2023. So just get some eyes on that. A social media moderator. We have a lot of activity in our social media, and that takes quite a bit of time to just, if somebody asks a question, being able to respond and intentionally being involved on our social media. So when we receive the diagnosis, right, we begin a journey on a road we weren't expecting, or opened up into a different book we didn't intend to read, or even end up in a country that we weren't expected to visit. And so IMDSA, whatever analogy you want to use, IMDSA is just here to help you navigate the road, read that book, and find your way through a country that you weren't expecting to visit. So we want to be here. We want to be here for the long haul. We recognize that it took a lot to be here today. There might have been a little bit of anxiety to go, what is the R&R? What does this even mean? But I know for my child, I want to be here. And so we thank you again for being here. And as I mentioned, we just want to make sure we're there for that next family. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. I hope you take this time to connect with one another, meet some new friends, because you're now family, every one of you. I see, like I said, I see some faces that I've seen year over year over year, and this may be the only time we really connect. But I'm glad to see you all here, and hopefully you can find your people who will be there when you have the question of, is my child ever going to be potty trained, or are they ever going to sleep through the night, or whatever it is, you know, are they ever going to, you know, find friends? That's a big one. You know, are they ever going to connect with peers or people in their lives? And so you always find a place to be able to connect here, and you always have a place here. And I hope you all are able to enjoy the speakers, but also have some fun. We have some fun things that I've planned throughout the week too. So I have no idea where I am on time. I'm early, so it's fine. I appreciate again everyone's time. If there are any questions, we have a few minutes. I'm willing to talk about IMDSA all day long, but I know that's not what we're all here for. So yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
You mentioned online group and meetup for the young
for the self-advocates. Yeah.
How do we find these?
Yeah. So the question was, how do we find our self-advocate meetups? We are in the process of revamping that. And I imagine after the R&R, we can put more focus back on getting those routinely on a schedule. If anybody would like to help facilitate those meetings, that'd be awesome. But it is something that we will advertise in our newsletter. So Margaret Hamburger is another volunteer. She does our newsletter for us. So if you're not getting our emails, let us know. But I would say we'll be putting efforts towards that and having an initiative soon. So you should be able to see those communications on that. I'm trying to see if we have any other. Roxanne is a great individual to talk to if you would like to do fundraisers. So she does an awesome bowling fundraiser every year for us, and very appreciative of her efforts as well. So thank you, Roxanne.
Yeah, I'm happy to talk to you.
Yes.
Anybody give you any ideas?
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
How much they can do with whatever.
Yeah. We're send our way.
and the impact on your community.
Yes. Thank you. Anything else? Yeah, absolutely. Yes, so great question. I'll back up to the thing. We're recording. We can edit that out, right? So the question was, how often do we have the R&Rs, and do we change locations? And so before COVID, I would say we were holding them annually, and that's our intention going forward is annually. And yes, we like to bounce around the country. I am anticipating us going back to the Midwest this upcoming year. We're looking at Cincinnati currently. So going back there, and then maybe in 2 years, heading to Virginia. So we try to make it accessible for as many people as possible. We recognize that we had not been this far west yet. And so we had promised our California families we would make it to California because Colorado and Texas aren't west enough. I'm from Indiana. I feel like that's west, but not west enough. So we're here, fulfilling our promise to our California families. So yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Not yet. Yeah, we typically hold them in the summer. And if you look at the school calendars nowadays, there's maybe 2 weeks where all kids are out of school with, nationwide. Because I know the kiddos in my area, they will be out late May, and then they'll go back in July, like late July. So it just depends on the area. So we have a short window of when we can actually hold the R&R, but we try to do it in the summer. Well, thank you everyone for your time. I'll be around, and I think you're next, right? Okay.